While the world continues to debate how to handle climate change, the facts are crystal clear. Climate change is real.
A White House report that says global warming threatens every part of the U.S.
Now, as we reported, California is struggling with two enormous fires simultaneously, causing many to point the finger squarely at climate change.
Earth's average surface temperature has risen by nearly 2 degrees Fahrenheit since the late 19th century.
What this 60% extra heat really means, what are the implications of that? Coral reefs, already we've destroyed about 50% of coral reefs.
So it's not a theoretical problem. This means oceans are getting warmer. It means hurricanes could potentially be getting stronger. That's one theory.
Currently, glaciers are retreating all around the world, and massive ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica are losing mass.
The news is not good. New research finds the Earth's oceans are absorbing much more heat than previously thought.
There's that Gallup poll that came out last month, which found 1 in 4 Americans is skeptical of all the effects of climate change and thinks this issue's been exaggerated.
This isn't something in the distant future. Climate change is already affecting us now.
How have humans changed things? Since the dawn of the industrial age, around the year 1750, atmospheric carbon dioxide has increased by 40%, and methane has almost tripled. These increases cause extra infrared light absorption, meaning an extra greenhouse effect, which has caused Earth to heat above its typical temperature range. In other words, energy that gets to Earth has an even harder time leaving it, causing Earth's average temperature to increase, thus producing global climate change.
Most of these wounds are self-inflicted by us. What are we doing?
What warms up the planet, according to scientific consensus, is greenhouse gas emissions. How do greenhouse gas emissions get into the atmosphere? From cars and trucks, from planes, from agriculture even produces greenhouse gas emissions. And the consequences are really quite dire. Once the planet heats up to a certain level, you have much higher chances of heat waves that can be potentially very fatal, wildfires, the likes of which we have seen this year, coastal flooding because of sea rise, lots of people, millions and millions of people who live on the US coast and all around the world. Remember, we've got lots of capital cities, lots of airports along the coastlines. Those are in danger, and huge economic losses.
Every day, our oceans are absorbing roughly 1/3 of the world's carbon dioxide emissions.
There's a lot of reasons why this is a big problem, and it is going to be released eventually. A lot of it is stored in the oceans right now, and that's the reason why we're not feeling this intense heat in the atmosphere, right? That's because the oceans are kind of buffering it right now.
According to an 8-year study on the biological impacts of ocean acidification, all sea life will be affected by CO2 emissions.
As the oceans heat up, we cause more, essentially, whitening of the coral reefs. We call it bleaching.
What if I said to you, look, I don't snorkel, I don't care about the coral reefs?
Oh boy, that's a big problem because essentially 25% of the living creatures in the ocean depend upon our coral reefs. It is the foundation of so much of what happens in the oceans. You kill the coral reefs, eventually you could kill the oceans.
And like climate change, experts say ocean change is a problem that will not solve itself.
What can individual people do if they are hearing this report and thinking something must be done?
Well, I think people need to take it seriously. This is everybody's responsibility. This is an all-hands-on-deck situation. Governments need to respond. All world leaders need to respond. But on an individual basis, we are responsible for electing these world leaders.
Yeah.
We are responsible for kind of changing the course of the conversation.
Weaning off of things like using coal. It means switching from coal to renewable energy like solar and wind.
Many of us are part of this vast network of change makers. And even if you do a tiny thing for the climate, whatever it may be, however small it may be, you're part of this network of people that is pushing for change.